Today I show you various techniques for edge stitches. In between the edge stitches I knit a simple seed stitch or moss stitch, alternating knit, purl, and as I use an odd number of stitches I always start a row with knit, purl, knit, purl. So a very easy edge stitch is just to knit the first and the last stitches in every row, in the right side rows and in the wrong side rows. Just knit the first and the last stitch. This gives a very accurate sort of pill edge or pill border. Little knots at the edges. This edge is fine whether you sew the knitted pieces or you wear them freely without sewing. It gives a very clean, nice edge with little knots. So knit the first and the last stitch of every row. I will knit a few rows now to show you the result. So here you see the result, the pill edge or pill border, little knots at the edges, perfect for showing openly or for sewing together knitted parts. If this does not turn out tight enough for you, so you may knit the stitches through the back loop. Instead of picking up the stitch from front, you pick up from right back and you knit through the back loop. Do this on both sides. The first stitch and the last stitch are knitted through the back loop. And this results in a more tight first and last stitch. So the border will be more tight than knitting it the usual way. There's very little difference, but how the edge looks always depend on your type of knitting, whether you knit very tight or you knit more loose. The next edge technique is called the Swiss edge, and in this case you always purl the first and the last stitch. So for the Swiss edge, the so-called Swiss edge, you always purl the first and the last stitch on both sides. Yarn in front of the needle and the stitch and purl. This is the result. Very clean, very beautiful edge and very tight too. But again, if it doesn't turn out tight enough, you may also purl through the back loop. So we try it with purling through the back loop. It's always an option to make your edge more tight, that you try to knit the stitches, the edge stitches, through the back loops. So you may also purl through the back loop, not only knit through the back loop. And for this you take the back strand of the stitch, last stitch, purl through the back loop, and again first stitch, purl through the back loop. So there is a little difference. It's not too significant as I'm knitting tight anyway, but if you are knitting more loose, you will see a bigger difference between the first version and the versions purled through the back hole. Very tight, very compact edge. Another one you wouldn't want to miss, it's my favorite, is the chain border. The first stitch is knitted, so knit the first stitch and slip the last stitch purlwise. Yarn in front of the needle end of the stitch and slip the stitch purlwise as if to purl. Again, knit the first stitch and try to do this very tightly. And slip the last stitch purlwise. So there you see the chains at the edge. That's for the name of this stitch. And it's also useful for counting rows, 2 rows for every chain. I tend to make one side of the chain edge too loose. So again, there's the option to knit and purl the stitches through the back loops. So I knit the first one through the back loop, and you may also slip the last one through the back loop. So I slip the last one purlwise but through the back loop. And again, knit the first through the back loop and always slip the last one through the back loop purlwise. So that makes it easier for me to keep both edges very tight and very even. And this is the result. You see very smooth, very beautiful edges. There is a small difference when you knit them through the back loops. You see the chains at the edge are more tight if I knit and purl through the back loops. More accurate with back loops. So in the second video I show you a sewing border, a sewing edge, a cross edge and a structured edge. And in the third one I will show you how to make clean edges for brioche stitch.